Fashion Dolls. It is finally Friday, May 2nd, and welcome to an all-new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today is a husband, a father, an author, a publicist, and he's also, he's here, Fashion Dolls, so welcome. Let's welcome to the dollhouse, author Terry L. Ware. Hi, brother. Shout outs to my brother K Tooks, host of the K Tooks Spot. Make sure you guys please go and check him out. Again, I apologize for my tardiness. As you guys can see, I had to be a little fashionably late. So, without further ado, let's welcome our very special guest, Terry L. Ware. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing wonderful. Please forgive my tardiness. As you can see, a lady always has to come overdressed.
Hey, no problem at all.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. So happy Friday. How has 2025 been for you so
It's
far?
going wonderful. It's going wonderful. I can't complain a bit.
Yes. So before we get into your story, now you are an author,
Mhm.
you are an actor, you are a husband, you are a father, you wear so many hats, you are a Renaissance man. My first question for you is how do you find that balance before we get into your story? Because I know juggling so many hats can be a lot in this
Right.
business. And that was something that me and my guest that I had on yesterday, Kip Trouble, and he's a girl dad. So he has three daughters. And
Okay.
I asked him the same question yesterday. I said, how is it that we find that balance? And the key thing that he said is making sure that you remain true to your family members, and that means keeping in touch with them and finding that balance of
Right.
being able to communicate. Now, I know when 2020 was here, it was difficult for a lot of us to be able to communicate with our family members because we were either on set or we had to
Right.
follow those guidelines. So
Right.
for you, how do you find that balance between author, actor, husband, and father?
Well, definitely you have to keep the most important things, and the most important things are family. So you have to make sure you're making time for your family as well. Uh, I love family. My kids are my world. I try to make sure I'm there for them at all times in time I can be. Even if I'm on set or if I'm out of town, I make sure that I pick up the phone and I call and check on them. Um, and it's just really just staying focused. As far as the author. When the idea comes, I start writing. And yeah, I dedicate time to that. But at the same time, I make sure that I don't dedicate too much time that it takes away from family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, they call you the king of therapeutic writing because you have published you've published nonfiction therapeutic novels. You've given affirmation books as well too. What is it that keeps you going to encourage other people? What is that drive? Where does that drive come from?
Well, it comes from God. He
Yes.
placed this in me, and when I realized it, it was like it clicked immediately, and it's something that I really it's a passion of mine to see others happy, joyful, finding themselves doing things that make them happy, and it's just being able to be a middleman to help someone, not holding any information because I'm afraid that somebody else might go farther than me. It's never about that. It's always about helping others and helping others to be successful.
And we are currently seeing, I'm so glad that you said that. You must have been reading my mind. That's why my eyes kind of went like, I see what he's saying. Because we're seeing that now where people are afraid they don't want us, people our color, black people, to succeed or be in these
Right.
positions. How important is it that we continue to inspire and educate the next generation, especially for you being a black man and you have black men that are looking up to you, that are following in your footsteps? Now, last week on the show, I had an adult entertainer. I had Darren Blaze on,
Okay.
and I also had Poetic Justice or Lance D.
Mm.
Thompson, and he's going to be on the shot, and both men were talking about being able to find that balance,
Right.
and not just that, but impacting a legacy for the black community, the black collective as a whole, and making sure that our stories are told. And I've spoke with both men about that. So for
Hmm.
you as a black man, how important is it in these times that we continue to inspire and educate the next generation of black men that are following in your footsteps?
Well, it's very important. I have a son whose his birthday is today, so shout out to my son Terry
Oh,
Jr.
okay.
He's just turned 16. It's very, very important. Social media, society has a big influence these days on the next generation. So it's very important that especially us as black men and women that we use our voice to speak into this younger generation and help them find their way. Otherwise, they'll be lost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now you pushed your books on TikTok. TikTok is booming.
Yes.
And a lot of people are watching TikTok, whether it's for food recipes, whether it's for beauty trends. Did you have any idea that your books would have an impact on our community, the Black collective, and empower and inspire people?
I didn't. I started out writing poetry, and I never even imagined being an author until somebody suggested it one day, and I was like, I wonder if I can. But TikTok, like I said, is booming. It's been a blessing to me, blessing to get my books out there, get what I'm doing out there. It's just really, really, really been a blessing. And at first, when TikTok started, I was like, I ain't gonna mess with it, but I'm glad I did.
But see, look now, you are a best-selling author. Your books are impacting the world. And it is important that we continue to educate and bring awareness, especially in a time where they're trying to erase our history. I'm pretty sure you've
Definitely.
seen what's happened with the Smithsonian Museum, where they are pulling artifacts and that was something that I touched on with Darren last week, which is they're removing artifacts, historical artifacts for us as Black people and the contributions that we have brought to this world and society.
Right.
So, my next question for you is as an author, how important is it that we continue to keep telling our stories and making sure that history is not erased? What can we do to protect it?
That I'm not certain, but we definitely have to keep speaking our truth. That's the
Yes.
most important thing, and it's the one thing that they can't take away from you is your voice. So you have to use that. That's the best tool that we have is our voice, and we have to continually use it and get the word out, and so that we can make an impact continuously.
You know what? I'm so glad that you said that because Jamie Foxx, in this quote that he said when someone asked him on the red carpet, what do you think about everything being rolled back against us as Black people? And this is what he had to say. He said this, end quote. He said that they can try to erase history, but guess what's going to happen? We're going to continue to keep making history.
Right.
We're still going to be here in the books. Black people will always be here. We will continue to keep telling our stories because we know the actual truth.
Right.
Whereas you're trying to pull it out of the schools. And if you go over there, you look in Germany, what did they do when Hitler was over there? They burned books. So now we're
Hmm.
seeing them pull things out of the school system, out of the education system that can impact and help Black people succeed and do well in this world.
Right.
So that was going to be another question for you. The education system, as an educator, as an instructor, as an author, what can we do to make sure that teachers are making sure that the curriculum includes Black history and that our legacy and our lineage is not, being whitewashed or pushed out, forced out as we're
Right.
seeing now.
Right, right. I think we have to continuously be involved, just like a lot of us, like a lot of us are involved in our kids' sports. We have to continuously do that in the academic side as well, and make sure go into the classroom, talk to your teachers, see what they're teaching, see what's going on, and just be active in your kid's life to make sure that they're not trying to erase different things or not teach certain things, but by us showing up is going to keep them accountable.
Exactly. And not just that, but I have a cousin who's on the school board. Get involved in your community. Make sure
Right.
that you are, as you said, and it's so crazy you said, making sure that they're not taking your voice because that was something that Poetic Justice said on the show last week as well too. When I did double show with Darren and Poetic together, he was saying making sure that Black voices are not silent because for years they tried to silence our voice,
Right.
and there was something called the Afro American newspaper. And
Mm,
the man who created it, he was the publisher of it. It is Carl Murphy. My mother gave me this book. So
okay.
it's important that we continue to keep looking up historical figures like this because
Right.
we know about Ida B. Wells. We know
Hmm.
about Phyllis Wheatley. We know about Who's another? Maya Angelou, Sojourner Truth. We know about all of these black authors and poets who have spoken truth to
Right.
power and have
Right.
had their voice silenced. And now they're trying to push it out of the schools so that children don't know the real, true, actual truth.
Right.
Now they're talking about patriotism. What kind of patriotism are you talking about? And we know what kind of patriotism you're talking about. You're
Right.
talking about Adolf Hitler.
Hmm.
You're talking about David Duke. You're talking about General E.
Right.
Lee. Those are the people you want us to learn about. We already know about them. They owned
Hmm.
slaves. They mistreated black people. They were
Right.
horrible to black people.
Right.
Andrew Jackson is another one you want us to learn about. We know all about him. But you don't want to learn about Marcus Garvey,
Hmm.
Fred Hampton. You don't want them to learn about Angela Davis. You don't want them to learn about Bayard Rustin.
Right.
You don't want them to learn about Marsha P. Johnson. You don't want them to learn about any Frederick Douglass, any
Right.
abolitionist or revolutionary because it is woke or DEI, and we know exactly what you mean. If we
Right.
as black people can read between the lines and know what they're truly trying to say about us,
Hmm.
they're afraid to say it. But you might as well go ahead because your voices are now emboldened. But
Right.
let me not get too political with the doctor here, because I will take off that seatbelt in a heartbeat. I have been letting people have it lately. I've been like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, off with their heads for real. But it's important that we continue to preserve this.
Right.
Now, we're going to shift gears here. Black owned businesses, because you are a businessman as well too. You have your company,
Hmm.
Boss and Company. So tell us about the acronym Boss and Company.
Yes, BOSS stands for Building Opportunities, Stirring Success. And what I'm able to do, I help authors to become self-published. So I do the editing form, I do the formatting form, making sure everything is in a professional format at low cost. Uh, and I also do book covers as well if they need a book cover. But I walk them through that step of how to self-publish until they become all the way published.
And that's what we need more of. And I'm so glad that you are publishing and helping people publish books and their business and companies, everything. Because again, if you go and you watch the news and you turn on the news or you read a book, yes, our stories are being told, but now they're trying to take those out of the school systems. I
Right.
remember watching a video where they had tons of books, and I mean tons of them in the dumpster. And some of these books were from Black
Mhm.
authors, as I've mentioned, Maya Angelou,
Right.
Sojourner Truth, Toni Morrison. When I seen that Toni Morrison was on the banned books list, I was devastated. I'm
Mm.
like, these are historical figures that we grew up well reading and listening to their speeches and
Right.
remembering them and doing lessons on them in school. And now you want to pull it out of the school system. Wrecking the Department of Education would do nothing for our black and brown boys and girls in our
Right.
collective, in our
So
community. And we know that
true.
they have the most healthcare disparities among them,
Hmm.
and not just the most healthcare disparities, but also the most education disparities. They're not going to succeed, whereas a white student will succeed more, and they would get a pat on the back.
Hmm.
Black people, we have been told for years we need to pull ourselves up by the what, ladies and gentlemen? The bootstraps.
Right.
And
Right.
we're not doing that anymore. We're not going back into a box
Right.
where we were uninformed, uneducated. They didn't want us to learn how to read. They didn't want us to learn how to write. And even during slavery, they would take your life if they knew you could read or write.
Oh
Now
yes.
we are in higher positions than them. And that scares them. So that's what you're
Right.
seeing right now is white fear. So to the business aspect, the economic aspect, how important is it that we continue to invest in black owned businesses? Because Terry, when I tell you the black dollar is powerful and y'all know where
Yes.
I'm going,
Hmm.
baby, our black people, we are some petty ass people for real.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna
Oh
tell
yeah.
you why, because y'all have seen Target and Walmart, they are losing money. The black dollar is powerful. When
Yes.
black people say we spend money too, not just y'all, we spend money, we invest as well too.
Right.
So my question for you too is, what can us, our people, do as a collective, continue to hold on to our wealth and our power? Because we talk about 40 acres and a mule and reparations, all of these things that have been gratefully due to us as black people. What can we do to preserve our businesses and make sure that they grow and flourish for you as a businessman?
Yeah, definitely. The main thing, of course, is to support each other. And I mean, not just say you support, but actually, really, truly support. Support by understanding the ins and outs of that black-owned business, where they're getting their products from, or why they're getting it from, where they're getting it from. Educate ourselves financially. Definitely, that it will help in with the next generation, well, especially as a business owner. Support, support, support. Not just talking about it, but really, truly supporting. Not complaining about the prices or complaining this and that, but actually supporting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always shout outs to Pure Luck Salon, who works with a variety of hair textures. Shout
Okay.
outs to my brother K Tooks 85, the K Tooks spot. Make sure you guys please go and check out his talk show and platform. And we did a couple collaborations together. So I make sure that I always plug black owned businesses here on my platform. That's why I invited you on, because I see what you're doing, not just from the acting aspect, but
Right.
also outside of that as well too.
Thank
And I think currently
you.
for all of us as Black people, we have to have multiple streams of income coming
Definitely.
in for us.
Oh
And the
yes.
times that we're heading into, because we're going to be heading into some times, so we
Hmm.
have to make sure that we're prepared. I mean, it's like survival mode for us because it's natural, it's
Right.
in our DNA,
Right.
where we've always had to prepare for the worst to come.
Definitely.
So making sure that you are investing, check on your stocks. That was something Darren touched on last week, which is making sure that you invest in your stocks, check on your stocks, make
Right.
sure you check on your 401k, all of that, check on everything, all of your benefits,
Oh
everything,
yes.
because right now we're seeing how they're moving. They're moving very funny, especially a certain individual from South Africa that has no business in politics
Right. Right.
and should just stick to monitoring a certain social media platform. I'm not even going to give him any credit over here. But I see I'm trying to behave, Pure Lux. I'm
Right.
trying, girl. I'm trying to keep the seatbelt on, Terry. It's
I
hard. I have been
understand.
raging. Like every day, you turn on the news, it's something. And I know a lot of people feel the same sentiment that I feel, but
Right.
for us, it's creativity. Black people, we are the most creative. We
Oh
always find a
yes.
way to reinvent ourselves. And speaking of reinvent ourselves, you have published six, not one, but six books. Let's go down the list here. You've got Love's Recipe, Motivational High, Inspirational Growth, Daily Breath of Prayers, Poetic Expressions, Volume 1 through 3, and a number of others as well too. So out of all of your books that you've published, which one resonates with you the most, if you could say? Because I know you write from personal experience. Any author, when you were telling someone's story or telling your personal story, even
Mhm.
as for an artist, a singer, songwriter, whomever, it's always pulling from a place that is personable. So
Right.
which one is personable to you?
The most personal one would be the poetic expressions, one through volume 1 through 3, because with those are dedicated to mental health issues that's expressed through poetry, and all the proceeds from those books, all the proceeds go to a mental health organization, nominee of Alabama, which is a mental health organization. And where that stemmed from is I lost my brother in 2006, and he was dealing with a lot of different things from being in the military.
Ooh,
And the blessed part about it is everyone that has been involved in those books have all dealt with some type of mental illness, and I think that's it's not talked about enough. And so that one is the most special. And actually, I just had released a book today called "I Choose Me," which is a journey of self love, and that's personal as well because it took me a while to love me, to really truly love me. And I think as a lot of us deal with that, a lot of people deal with that, uh, not understanding how to love someone else because we haven't took the time out to learn how to love ourselves.
and that's key and critical and important. And my colleague Bubs the God, shout outs to him, he says the same thing, that we as Black people, we have to learn to love ourselves. And I'm so glad you
Hmm.
touched on mental health, because my guest that I had on just this week, Dr. Justin Terry Smith, was
Hmm.
served in the military, and he talked about having PTSD, post traumatic stress
Right.
disorder, and it resonated with a lot of people. I talk about mental health a lot on my platform,
Hmm.
especially now that we're seeing more and more that this administration here is
Right.
chipping away
Hmm.
at mental health and all of the outlets that people need to help them,
Right.
especially the hotline, the national hotline. If you know, you
Right.
know, I can't say that word, the
Hmm.
S word, but they're trying to gut funding from that.
Right.
That is something that people need, because you
Definitely.
have so many people who are dealing with bipolar disorder, who
Right.
deal like myself, I deal with anxiety. And I
Mm-hmm.
get tense even in the most chaotic moments.
Right.
So you've got anxiety, but for years, for decades, Black people, we have been told, oh, in our community, don't get
Hmm.
therapy. And that was
Yep.
a question that my colleague Bubs asked Dr. Justin Terry Smith, not too long ago, was why is it that Black people are afraid to get therapy? And it's not just in the Black community, but it's also in the Latino community. They don't
Right.
want to be looked at as crazy. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be looked at as other than. But
Right.
there's nothing wrong with going to sit down on the couch and talk to someone or getting a second opinion outside. It's okay to talk to family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can talk to family and friends all day long.
Right.
But it's important that you sit with someone who is licensed clinically, who
Mm-hmm.
can understand you better and maybe give you a second opinion and be like, okay, now how do you feel like this today? Maybe
Right.
you feel this way. What is it that we could do different? Ask you the key important questions. Faith without work is dead. And I
Right.
know that in the Black household, we have been taught what goes on behind these walls and in this house
Days. Mm-hmm.
stays in this house.
Right.
It don't
Right.
leave this house. And if you went and you told your mama business, or we were looking in our mother's conversation or in our parents' conversation, what they would say, stop
Mm-hmm.
looking in my mouth. Go on
Right.
outside and play with the kids. This grown folks talk here. I got
Mm-hmm.
that all the time.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
even certain things I couldn't watch on television, like
Yes.
uh, it's traumatizing for you. I remember certain things growing up, but
Mm-hmm. Me too.
certain shows I couldn't watch. I was a little upset because they was like, "No, this for grown-ups. You can't
Right.
watch this."
Yeah.
This it was The Wire, Showtime After Dark, all of that. And I was
Uh-huh.
mad. I said, "Well, guess who's interviewing some of the stars now?" So I mean, and I'm old enough to do it too. I'm grown. I'm in my grown woman status. But growing up, for a lot of us, that generational trauma, that curse of things that we have seen our parents do, that
Mm-hmm.
trauma will follow us into our adult years.
Right.
Post traumatic stress disorder for people who served in the military, when
Mm-hmm.
people are in war mode and they just got home from serving, that's all they know is war mode.
Right.
It's I can't remember his name. He's on. You might have seen him, Terry. He's always online with Gilly. His name is Gilly, and he served time in prison. And Gilly was like roasting him or clowning him, like, "Why you eat so fast?" Because he served time in prison. And
Mm-hmm.
in prison, when they hit that table and they say, "Hey, it's time to stop. Go back to your cell. It's time to go back to your cell." So
Right.
Gilly was like, "Slow down, stop eating." That's his mindset.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like, "This is what happened to me when I was in prison."
Right.
That post traumatic stress disorder, that trauma haunts you. And it's
Right.
like you become accustomed to it. It takes a hold of your body and you have no control over it.
Right.
So,
That's true.
my thing is to any Black person in our community is get help.
Mm-hmm.
And Terry, I wanted you to speak on this for Black men because we're seeing more and more Black men normalize mental health. It's not just a whole Black collective thing. Black women, it's easy for us to talk about it, trauma, and even in the workplace, we experience things and we talk about it. But we're seeing
Right.
more and more Black men be open and vulnerable instead of just harbor that anger inside because that
Right.
also results in toxic masculinity.
Right.
And Terry, I wanted to know, what advice would you give to Black men on being vulnerable and opening up more about whatever it is, whatever trauma, whatever oppression, racism, whatever they've experienced? What advice would you give to them?
Well, the best advice I can give is that as excuse me, as men, as young adults, kids growing up, we're taught that as a man, if you're supposed to hold, the more you hold in, the more stronger you are,
Yeah,
and that is by far not true. The advice I can give is that it's okay. It's okay to cry. It doesn't make you less than a man. It's okay to talk about what is bothering you, what is on your mind, what is in your heart to someone. It doesn't make you less than a man. It doesn't make you less than. Matter of fact, it makes you stronger when you do. Talk to someone. Let that stuff out, please, because it's important. It's very, very important.
because if you keep it bottled up inside, and Dr. Justin said this last week on the show, it's like when you get a Pepsi or a soda or something,
Mhm.
your Pepsi, and you shake that soda up. and you untwist that cap and it explodes everywhere.
Right.
That's the anger. And I'm gonna give you an example. I was watching. We all grew up watching this show growing up. Good
Oh
Times. It was an
yeah.
episode of Good Times where James comes in, and I mean, he was mad as hell, and he slammed that door so hard, even the audience felt it. Like it, the tension from that scene was so thick in the room. He
Hmm.
came in and he slammed the door. Rest in peace to John Amos also, but he was just like, ain't nothing wrong with me. The kids were trying to tell him, like, you need to go get help, Daddy. What's wrong? And I think this was the episode where he found out that he had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, one and two, and the children were trying to tell him, you need to go to the doctor and see what's wrong.
Right.
And he took the chair from the dinner table that they sit at, the little round circle
Hmm.
table they sit at, and he threw that chair against the wall and then went in the room and slammed the door. And Florida was just like this with her hands up.
Right.
She didn't know what triggered him. When you keep anger bottled up inside, that chair could have been someone
Right.
in that room if
Exactly.
it was a real life
Right.
situation.
Right.
Even though it's a
Definitely.
show, it could have went completely opposite.
Right.
But that just goes to show you that when you keep anger bottled up inside, at first it's a chair or a wall, and then the next is someone else. You
Definitely.
trouble is easy to get in and hard to get out of. Because when
Definitely.
you assault someone or put your hands on someone out of anger, out of rage,
Hmm.
it's like there's no coming back from that. In
Right.
an instant,
Yeah.
someone's life is gone, and it's because of a mistake you made. So
Right.
it's important that we continue to unleash and well, not unpack, but get rid of everything that we have inside of us,
Right.
anger, any poison, put it in a bag and take it to the garbage. Don't We're
Definitely.
not unpacking anymore. We're done unpacking.
Right.
We've been
Right.
unpacking. We've had to unpack 400 years of oppression, and
Definitely.
we're still seeing things roll back that is hurting all of us as Black people, this entire country, and
Right.
other marginalized groups in other countries as well too. And that is the result of not, well, we're seeing some of it in our community, but
Hmm.
the majority of this is from white fear. It comes
Yeah.
from white fear, fragile white men with fragile egos who want power and
Yeah.
control. And that is toxic masculinity.
Right.
And we all know how this, I'm not even going to give him any credit. I'm going to just say Agent Orange. Agent Orange, or the occupant of the White House, how he was brought up, he inherited wealth,
Right.
and he was taught pain, trauma, hurting people is the way to go. His father
Hmm.
hurt people. So his cycle is to hurt people as well too.
Right.
And that trauma, he hasn't unlearned it. He hasn't unpacked it. And I'm
Hmm.
not going to defend him. I would never defend him. I'm going to keep my size 11 stiletto on his neck if it's the last thing in this world. But that cycle, what you learn growing up from your parents,
Hmm.
it goes with you into your adult
Oh
years.
yeah.
And sometimes we have to catch ourselves and be like, oh my God, my mom and dad used to do this. It's like the cycle is repeating all over again,
Right.
but just in a different form. And you have to catch yourself in that moment and tell yourself, like, wait, am I repeating the same cycle that my mother and father had?
Right.
Sometimes you would see them arguing, and the blow up would be so bad that one storms out of the house, flaming mad, and it's just like, what happened? What went on?
Right. Right. Right.
So
Definitely.
again, that cycle is repeating. And it's
Hmm.
important that we break that generational curse and not have it follow on to us, because see, what goes to you will go to your children, and then
Definitely.
their children, and then their children, and so
Right.
forth and so on.
Hmm.
So it's important that we talk about our issues in the Black collective, form roundtable discussions, group therapy if you're comfortable with it.
Right.
Or if you're not, you can do it confidentiality. There's betterhelp.org, or is that one betterhelp.com,
Yeah, I think so.
where you can actually talk to someone. There's licensed clinical psychologists who are Black, who understand our Black pain, our Black trauma that we as Black people have experienced
Right.
for decades. And it's still
Definitely.
non-stop. So I would say, with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, because I kicked off yesterday, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm so glad you touched on that, Terry, that we continue to protect our peace, because your peace is sacred, that
Definitely.
we continue to speak out on issues that impact us, that make us feel a certain way. Because trust me, my mom breaks down sometime, and I told her I'm done crying. I cried after she lost the election. I wanted her to win. I did not want this man. I was
Hmm.
upset for a few days. I was angry, but I said, you know what? Black people, we are like tigers. You can try to throw a dart at us and it'll knock us out and make us go to sleep. Yeah. But we get up and we lick our wounds
Right.
and we still keep going.
Definitely. Definitely.
Black people, it's in our blood, it's in our DNA,
Hmm.
it's in our ancestors have put that DNA in us as well too. So
Right.
it's like nothing can keep us down. We always find a way to bounce back.
Definitely.
But make sure that you're protecting your peace. Make sure that you are finding joy in the midst of chaos.
Right.
And that was something that my colleague, Conscious TV, who I had on last week, also said as well too, is that we have to find our joy in community in some sort of way and
Definitely.
fellowship. And I'm seeing people
Definitely.
line dancing, black people line dance
Yeah. Oh
at
yes.
family gatherings and
Hmm.
all of these things. I'm like, wow, it's sweeping the nation.
Hmm.
This is what black resilience and resistance looks like.
Right.
And it's
Definitely.
because we, even though y'all try to bring us down and break our spirits and provoke us, we're not giving you
Hmm.
that energy. And sometimes you can't give poison your energy
Right. Definitely.
because once you food into it, it causes harm to you.
Definitely.
So that's what we're seeing right now. But for all of us, it's important that we talk about our issues that impact us. Talk with someone. It can be a
Yes.
loved one,
Definitely.
it can be a family member. I told you my DMs are open 24/7. If I'm on sleep mode now, I have to wait till I get it in the morning because I know
Right.
IG has the sleep mode thing. But I do see your messages and I get messages from people on what can we do. People feel hopelessness, they feel despair, they feel all the different emotions right now.
Right.
But the key thing is to find your joy in the midst of chaos and prepare for battle.
Yes.
Strategize and be strategic about it
Definitely.
and be safe. Make sure you are in a community of people who love and care for
Oh
you because
yes. Very
family
important.
and friends is what you need right now. That close group of people is what
Oh
we need
yes.
more than ever.
Definitely.
More than ever.
Definitely.
And you talked about God in the beginning of the interview. What is some faith-based advice that you would give to people? Because my mother, me and her just got through talking a few minutes ago, and she was saying God is not sleep; He sees everything, and
Hmm.
He does. Trust it.
Yeah.
Everything that this man is doing, this administration is doing, he calls himself a king, a monarch. People are seeing it.
Hmm.
God is seeing it, and He ain't sleep.
Right. Definitely.
And
Yeah.
it's a scripture in the Bible where it says that the wicked, God will have the last laugh, and the wicked will suffer. God is preparing his karma right there for him.
Definitely.
Trust, because he's not sleeping. All of this corruption, all of this tyranny, all of this pain that they are causing to each and every one of us, he sees it,
Oh
and the
yes.
karma is coming. It's backfiring on him because of everything that he's doing. It's
Hmm.
not working as well as he wants it to work out.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So I
Yes.
want people to remember that. I want people to remember that. So, what are some gems that you would give to people on just remaining hopeful and having God in their life in these trying times?
Yes, I definitely. You have to have a prayer life, and a prayer life is simply a conversation with God. Every morning, I get up, I have a conversation with God, and it helps me to grow. It helps me to see. It helps me to be better than I was on yesterday. It's verse Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is one that I live by continuously. It's to trust in God with all thy heart and lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. So we can't get fretful of anything that's going on around us. We have to continuously trust God and allow Him to lead us. But definitely have that prayer life. Even throughout the day. Just say, Lord, just I thank you. Or if you're confused about something, Lord, guide me. It's been plenty of moments and plenty of times God has showed up in my life. And I didn't understand how it was going to get done or how this was going to happen. But I trusted him and he showed himself to be true every time.
Absolutely. Like I said, this book my mother gave me, as you said about having that prayer life, this man right here, John Carl Murphy, who was the publisher of the Afro American newspapers. Now, he's been writing these articles for like World War I, World War II, highlighting the 688, who we've heard a story about, and he just recently got an award as well, too. It talks
Right,
about them. Yesterday's chapter, it was saying in Baltimore how there was racism and how they had to get through the trying times of things that they've encountered and
right,
how they remain faithful, how they formed community, how we're having to do now as Black people as a collective,
Right.
form community because we need everybody. We can't leave anybody out.
Definitely.
We have to make sure that we are in community with people more than ever because it is way more of us than them.
Right. Oh
And
yes.
they want us to come out and hit the streets, but we know what's going to happen if we get out there, boots to the ground. Not the song, but
Right.
literally, we know what's going to happen because
Hmm.
he can do it any moment. And I'm just going to say it. That man can declare martial law. He's already gathering up people to form, put them in
Right.
the law enforcement system, and we've seen videos of them barging into people's homes and things. So
Hmm.
I would say right now form community because it is way more of us than them, and Black people are not the ones. We're not the ones you want to
That's
protect.
right. That's right. Definitely.
Because you've seen that video where they showed up out there at it was a white supremacist group, and they showed up in one city, and then Black people ran them right on up out of here, and they got in the back of that, what was it, a U-Haul truck or something, and they got in the back of it and took off. We're not playing. We're not playing. If y'all think y'all gonna come out here and do what you did to us during, the Montgomery bus boycott, where y'all
Right.
turned dogs and water hoses on us, this is a different generation you're working with here.
Definitely.
This different
Definitely.
generation of ancestors. We faithful, prayerful, watchful, and joyful,
Oh yeah.
but we will gladly invoke the spirit of the Alabama boat brawl if
Yes.
need be. And y'all
Yes.
seen that folding chair and all. And what's
Oh
so
yes.
ironic is that a Black man invented the folding chair. So again,
Yes.
it's important that we continue to make sure that our children and their children learn the legacy and true history of this country. So I say sit them down with the elders, sit them down with their great grandfathers and great grandmothers who
Hmm.
had to pick cotton, who know what it was like during that time. Because
Right.
the time that they're trying to take us back to is all of this is pro Jim Crow,
Hmm. Yeah.
pre Jim Crow. That's to take Black people to a time where we were in the fields. We're not doing that anymore. We're not going back into a
Not at
field.
all. Mm-mm.
Y'all can go pick the fruits. Y'all can go protest. Y'all seen that video of these Black people having brunch and minding their business while the rest of y'all were out there. We've done the work. So we know we're going to be prayerful. We're going to be watchful.
Oh
We're
yeah.
going to be vigilant. And we're going to be sitting on ready in case some stuff pops off. We're being
Definitely.
strategic and cool as cucumbers now because we're plotting our next move
There you go.
just in case something pops off because he can do it in any moment, martial law at any moment. And we're seeing
Yeah.
it. People are warning. They're giving you the alarms right there. Black people, wake
Hmm.
up, be vigilant, be prayerful. Put God first in everything that you do. Protect your family members and loved ones and stay
Right.
safe. And make
Right.
sure that you are within community of people that you trust. That means loved
Yes.
ones, that one's friends. I stay in an all Black neighborhood. There are no white people on my street over here. So you can pull up in this side of the neighborhood if you want to. And besides, there's some pit bulls next door. So I don't think you want to go over there.
Right. Right.
Yeah, have a good luck with that because they show up in droves.
Hmm.
I've seen the videos of them deploying these armed militia groups into
Oh yeah.
cities. So y'all be
Hmm.
vigilant, be careful, be careful,
Definitely.
be safe out here because they're disappearing people, all of that. But be vigilant. Now I'm not gonna get too deep into that, but I want you guys to just remain hopeful and
Right.
joyful.
Right.
And that was going to be another question that I wanted to ask you, Terry. How do you find your joy in the midst of chaos? And you're raising boys as well too.
Yeah.
So I know having the yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
One, one boy, two daughters. So
Okay.
3 kids. Yes, definitely. Just being able to see differently, see people differently by getting to know who God is and getting to know who you are.
Yes.
It allows you to open up your mind to more things. And the more different we see people, the more we can show more respect to one another. And more we can not point fingers and judge each other. Because you begin when you can see differently, you begin to have more respect and more love for your neighbor. That's more important. That's definitely important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what they want. They
Hmm.
want the chaos. They want the distractions.
Right.
which is why they're saying, "Oh, it's the drag queens, it's this, it's that, it's the third." No, 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 no. It's y'all and your white supremacy. You bonded over bigotry. You voted for
Hmm.
this man because he has the same beliefs that y'all believe. Y'all would rather us be subservient to y'all. Black people be subservient to you. You would rather us bow down. We're not doing that anymore. Where y'all can
Right.
be able to use the N word freely. And I seen a white woman today in a park with a child using the N word. I was disgusted by it.
Mm.
So this is who they are. This is who we're dealing with right here. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
say this real quick as well too. If y'all thinking that y'all gonna go out here and threaten our black boys and girls out here on these playgrounds, Trump cannot save you from these hands.
That's right. That's right.
Trump and what's the other one's name? Vance.
Hmm.
Trump and Vance cannot save you from this ass whooping you gonna get. We don't play about ours.
That's
That's
right.
one thing black people don't
Not
do.
at
We don't
all.
play about ours. I
So
mean,
true.
y'all are emboldened by this man. That's why you voted for him, because you are so emboldened. Your racism, your hatred, your bigotry. And the Bible talks about love, loving your neighbor,
Right.
not putting your
Hmm.
neighbor down because they're from a different country or they don't pray like you, they don't love like you, they don't exist in the world like you do, or have the privileges or privy to the privileges that you have.
Right. Hmm.
So
Definitely.
if if y'all think that y'all, again, that black people, we just, just gonna let y'all bull rush and bulldoze. I seen another video of two black women being hogtied at a protest.
Mm.
Stay out those streets, stay home, black people, stay vigilant and stay sitting on ready. Because I can feel it. He can do it any moment. By the
Yes,
mass
definitely.
firings of people, we're seeing people in important positions being fired and let go. Be
Yeah.
careful, because we are in some dangerous, scary times right now. And it's going to get even worse. So make sure that you are vigilant, watchful. As long as you got God in your life, you're divinely protected. You surrounded by Him, and you believe in
Right.
Him. The wicked will not perish.
That's so
Trust
true.
the wicked will
So
not
true.
succeed. They will
Hmm.
not perish. They think they have the power now, but even some of the judges that He put in place are saying, "No, you can't do this. You cannot do
Right.
this. This is illegal." They
Hmm.
don't care about
Right.
that. But there's going to come a day, because the same way in Germany, if you go back and you look in history with Hitler, it had to come to an end. The Allies came and fixed that. And to see all of the ones that were supporting Hitler with their hands in the air, surrendering, walking
Right.
out of those homes, and those people in those concentration camps and internment camps were rescued. They were
Hmm.
crying and they were kissing the hands of the soldiers who rescued them, because they were happy to be alive. Some of them didn't make it.
Right.
So we're gonna be
Oh
okay. We're gonna survive this.
yeah.
And again,
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna be watchful. We're gonna pray. We're gonna survive. We
Yes.
just got to look out for one another.
Definitely.
It's some
Definitely.
rough times ahead, for
Yes.
sure, for sure, for sure. What is some advice that you would give to people on finding their joy and staying sane? Because it's a lot. I know, watching the news every day, or turning on your phone, or turning on the radio and hear it in your car or in your home, wherever. It's overwhelming. What would you give? What advice would you give to them, Terry?
Sometimes you got to turn all that stuff off. You got to turn all
Unplug.
that stuff off. Got to unplug. You got to unplug. You got to take some time for yourself. Take some time just to go outside and play with your kids, or sit and have a conversation with your loved ones, and forget about the news. Forget about social media. Take time away from that, because I can remember a time when we didn't have that. A lot of people, a lot of these kids don't know what it's like to not have that, and I think we need to go back to that, putting that stuff down, unplugging, taking time out to just breathe and enjoy the present moment, and stay focused. Stay focused. Stay focused on God, and that's all I can tell you. Because that's how I found my joy, is to stay focused. And my prayer continuously every single day is, God, keep me focused. Even when things come up, I might get sidetracked for a minute, but I'm right back on focus because my eyes stay on Him.
And I do the same thing every morning. My ears lit up because when you said I do the prayer every morning, I do what's called the warrior's prayer. I put on the shield of armor of God. I'm surrounded and protected by his blood. I am covered in his blood. I am divinely protected. I do what's called the warrior's
Okay.
prayer. And I put on the shield of buckler as well too.
Hmm.
So I am a warrior. I am here. I am part of God's army. So I'm going to continue to keep empowering our people. And I would suggest everybody do what's called the warrior's prayer as well too. You are a soldier. Black people, we are soldiers. We are
Right.
survivors. We
Definitely.
have survived the worst. And we're still here. We're still resilient. We're still going. And we're still in these positions that they're trying to take away from us,
Right.
but it's not going to happen.
That's right.
It's not. So again, we don't go back to a box. We don't be placed into a box because we're not doing that anymore. And I want
Right.
to encourage each and every one of you to remain hopeful, to remain prayerful. My mom says
Definitely.
evil doesn't always last forever.
That's
So
right.
just as sure as they think they're getting away with this, with the courts and everything, he's weaponized all of this is in his, yeah, people are pushing back and saying, no, we're not doing this.
That's right.
You're seeing people rise up and hit the streets.
Hmm.
People who survived
Definitely.
the Holocaust, who are rising up with the next generation, Gen Z, Gen X, and millennials,
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
saying, we're not doing this. So he thinks he's doing something. He's missed the big shot. He's this, he's that. He's running for 2028. Now what he's doing is unconstitutional. I'm not even gonna get into that. I've posted a whole lot about that. I touched on that. But yes, I want you all to yeah, just be alert, be aware, be safe, be vigilant, and
Oh yeah.
remember, the only king and monarch is this person up here, not
That's
that
right.
man who was at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, not,
That's right.
not that man there. He's and I will never call him president, him or Stephen A. Smith. But um, I told y'all I'm trying. It's so hard, Terry. It's so hard to keep the seatbelt on. You have to let loose sometime, y'all. You
Oh
have
yeah.
to, because I know a lot of people feel the same sentiment that I feel,
Right.
the anger, the rage, and you feel powerless day by day. So you got to talk about it. And I want you all to talk about it. That's also a good part for helping your mental health is talking about how you feel. Good to know
Definitely.
that there are people who feel the same way that you feel and that you're not alone.
Hmm. Very
You're not
important.
crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. And don't deny it. Don't deny your mental health. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with you. You are divinely perfect. We are
Right.
imperfect,
Definitely.
perfect.
That's right.
Oh, I want you all to remember that. Now we're going to shift gears here, Fashion Dolls. We're going to get into some games real quick with Terry before we wrap. And we're going to get into some final thoughts, some gems, and make sure you guys, we're still on the road to 800. Head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube. So thank you all so much. This makes 700, interview 792, either 91 or 92. But we are
Awesome.
well off on the 800. So thank you all so much for your love and support. All right, so the first game we're going to do is called the Box of Gems. And Terry, you have to dig in your box of gems and give me as well as the Fashion Dolls, the audience, 5 of your gems that you live by on a daily. And when I say gems, it's words of encouragement, things that you live by on a daily, because we talk a lot about affirmations
Right.
and the power of manifestation and how putting it out there in the universe can make it all come to fruition. So, what are 5 gems out of your box that you would give to people?
Well, one I would definitely say, what you speak has power, and
Yes.
putting it out there um, is very, very important. And not just put it out there, but believe it. And we must keep in mind that God says, "I will supply all your needs, not some, not maybe, but I will supply all your needs." And if you keep that in mind, it will help you stay focused even in the hard times to know that He has obligated Himself to come through. Always. Find you a good Bible verse that you meditate on daily, a good affirmation. Say it every day. Stand, go in the bathroom or your room, wherever your mirror is. Stand in the mirror and look at yourself and tell yourself, "I am worthy." Because I know a lot of times we get in situations and things happen and we feel like we're not worthy, but God says you are worthy. Not because we've done anything so great, but it's simply because of how He sees who we are. And always remember that you are worthy. Every day, tell yourself you are worthy. Also, take time out just for you. If it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, to read a passage of a book, to read something maybe in the Bible, to look at the stars or look at the trees. Take a walk outside barefoot, soak your feet in the grass. Something. Take some time for you. That's very, very important. Myself, I do a lot of thinking around water. So a lot of times I will sit and soak in the bath for like 10, 15 minutes and I just meditate and I allow God to speak to me. I allow my mind to clear and just to rejuvenate myself. So it's very important you take time out for you. It's not being selfish. It's not being selfish. It's important and it's a must that you do that. And love on your loved ones as much as possible because no one's is promised tomorrow. No one. It's very important. And your loved ones don't necessarily have to be your blood family. It could be your friends, someone God has brought into your life. But love on them genuinely. Learn how to love genuinely. And how we do that is we learn to see different. And how we learn to see different is to focus on God. And He helps us to change. This is a continuous journey. Growth is a continuous journey. Don't matter how old you are. You could be in your 60s, your 70s. As long as there's breath in your body, there's growth available. And you still have time. Definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you go outside barefoot, it's more to it than just walking out there. It's about being grounded
Right.
with the earth, being grounded with nature. And my
Hmm.
colleague Bubs the God said, I said, Bubs, I can't do that. I got bugs and spiders and water bugs and caterpillars, all sorts of stuff. I said, nope, I'm in South Carolina, baby. I can't do that. Ugh. But he was saying something about being grounded, and it is a thing. So
Yes.
you're being in tune with God's beautiful green earth.
Right.
And I take a walk outside. I take a walk around my yard because my yard is pretty big. And I just look at the flowers growing. My mother has a green thumb and she's growing flowers. And that's serene for me. That's my escape. And once I get a moment out of the day, whether it's to go check the mail or to go, if I have a package or
Hmm.
something on the porch, I stop for a few minutes and I look at those flowers. So find your peace, find your safe space, and
Definitely.
find your self care mode. We're going to need it more
Right.
than ever. And it's
Oh, yes.
important. Again, rest is resistance. And the
Hmm.
NAACP put up that quote. They said rest is the best form of resistance. Whereas we as Black people have been marching and protesting and fighting for equality for the longest, we're doing something different this time. We
Right.
are resting because
Yes.
we're tired
Definitely.
and we need to
Definitely.
heal, we need to recover, we need to strategize and rejuvenate. So,
Oh, yes.
all right. All right, fashion dolls. The next one is turn the tables. And this is where my guests get to ask me as many questions as they want to. Fashion, family, beauty, goals, life, whatever they want to know for my newest viewers out here. I'm going to pass it on down to Terry here, and Terry can ask me as many questions as he wants and turn the tables. Take it away, Terry.
So I'll say, how do you determine the type of guests that you would like to interview?
Well, I always do my research on the guests. I go and I watch their work and I study them and I say, I think we would have a great vibe. I don't know what it is about me. I pick up on aura and energy. And I think a lot of us have that. It's a human nature thing. It's in our DNA where
Right.
we pick up off of people's vibes and energy. And I'm just like, yes, I think that I would be great to sit down with this person, or this person would like me. Because it's just like I have the type of personality. And a girlfriend of mine, shout out to Felicia, we just got through texting a few minutes ago before we came on. And we went to school together. And one thing she said to me, she said, you have the personality that people will instantly fall in love with you. And I do. Like the first minutes of having a conversation with me, the first 5 minutes,
Right.
you'll instantly fall in love. And I think great personality and love is what we're missing more than anything.
Definitely.
And I formed that off of that, and I line up all my guests, make a list, and I'm saying, okay, I want this person because I think that the vibe would be great. I love their work, I love their craft, I love what they're doing, and they stand for what I also believe in. So I find people who align with my views as well too,
Right.
who also are on a note of helping and encouraging and educating people, our people, black people. And I said, okay, this is how I want this person on my show. I want this person to come on.
Okay. I like that. I like that. So, second question: How would what advice would you give on someone who haven't found their purpose yet? What would you tell them uh, on their journey in finding their purpose?
I would say it starts with self discovery. It starts with love. It's not easy for any of us. You Confidence is another thing. And I know a lot of people just like, how do you get so confident? I wasn't always this
I,
confident and this
I,
outspoken. It took me a
right. Me too.
long time to build that level up of this
Hmm.
level of confidence and being bold and outspoken. And it comes from being picked on a lot. It comes from being abused emotionally. And that does something to you. It makes you build up courage to stand up for not just yourself, but for others as well too. And
Right.
with that, that has molded me to the woman that you guys to see today.
Awesome. Awesome.
So
Awesome.
to anybody who's looking to discover themselves or be comfortable or just in tune with themselves, start with you. The process starts with you. We talk about being present and in the moment. Take a few minutes of the day. As we say, start the morning off with prayer. Start the morning off with an affirmation. Like Terry just said a few minutes ago, I am worthy. I am it. I am enough. I am worth it. Keep saying those affirmations to yourself and build your confidence up that way. One of the affirmations that I say in the morning is I am loved and I'm surrounded by people who uplift me and pick me up when I'm down. Those are one of the affirmations that I say. So
Love it.
when it's abundant, that love is abundant. So when you are surrounded by love, it's such a great feeling.
So
So yeah,
true.
that's what I was.
So true. So true. One last question. Me myself, I love music. I love all types of music. So, what type of music do you find comforting in certain times along your journey?
Mm, well, she's on tour currently right now. um, Queen B, I love Beyonce. Beyonce is powerful. She's one of the most powerful women in the world. And she's so inspirational to me because of how bold she is, how her music makes a statement. And it's just like she doesn't even have to speak up how I'm speaking up on issues. You put on one of her songs and it resonates with the time, the same way Michael was ahead of his time, the same way Prince was ahead of his
Right.
time. But when I want to go to a safe space, or as Ari Lennox, love her too, as she would say in one of her songs, the soft girl era or your soft era, I would put on Sade. I would put on Cassandra Wilson. I would put
Mm.
on George Duke, Grover Washington Jr. And I'm only 31 years old, so how does she know about Bill Duke and uh, George Duke and all of these jazz musicians, Miles Davis, all of them? Because my father taught me about that type of music.
Right.
I still have my father's Sade's greatest hits album, and
Awesome.
I don't think you can get that back because I fell in love with her so much. Like I've watched her videos, and she takes you to a place that you've never been before. Music is supposed to be an escape. So in these
Right.
times, before I go to bed, I put on Sade. If not Sade, then I put on a Phyllis Hyman song, and that takes me to a space where I'm at ease. I'm relaxed. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. That's it for me. That's it for me.
All right, all right. So before we let you go, Terry, what's next in the chapter for you? because you have a new book that is out and more. You've got acting, you've working on projects. What is next for you in your chapter? And what gems would you give to people on surviving these times and just finding that space for them where they can be like, okay, I need an escape, I need to get away.
Right, right. The name of my new book is I Choose Me, which is a journey of self love, learning to love you, learning what is the root that keeps you from loving you. And when you're able to find that root, now you're able to move forward in learning ways to love you and practicing ways on loving you. And it's a God given book because, like I said, I didn't always know who I was.
Mm,
So once I found myself, it became important to me to help others do the same, especially my kids. Definitely. Um, Looking for more roles. The next film I am is a film in Atlanta called Twisted Love by director named Jamel, very talented young man. Um, and just finding more roles, speaking roles, whether supporting or leading roles. I'm ready. I love acting. This is a God given gift that I didn't know I had, and I'm so thankful for it. And the advice that I would give is to learn to love genuinely. I mean, I'm big on love. I'm big on that because it's what's missing. And when I learned it, when God showed it to me, and it's something you practice daily. But when I begin to see it, I just begin to see people differently because I'm not gonna lie, I was judgmental at one point, especially growing up in a certain way, being taught in church, and you become judgmental. But if you take time out to learn God for yourself and build a relationship with Him, it makes a big difference. And it becomes easy to love. It becomes easy to see things different. And I think that's very important. So I encourage everyone, if you haven't done so, please don't depend on your pastor. Don't depend on the mother of the church. Don't depend on the deacon. Don't depend on your mama, your daddy. Get a relationship with God for you and allow Him to show you who He is because it's important. And He's not who a lot of us think He is. Because when I found out, I was like, wow. And you become more freer to live when you find out who He really is. And He is love. He is the true definition of love.
absolutely. All right, Fashion Dolls. Terry's book is called I Choose Me on all platforms. Make sure you guys please go and get you a copy of it. Support this black man, support black authors, support black businesses. And while we're being touched by the Spirit, because today's show is titled Touched by the Spirit and just on honesty. Um, Today's Bible verse that I want to leave you with, I'm going to leave you with a Bible verse. I typically will leave you with the final thought of the day, but it also comes from Romans 10:9, which is because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So this speaks on fear. A lot of us in these times that we're seeing right now, as I stated, is white fear. They fear black people and the powerful positions that they're in. So that's why they're firing and pushing back and rolling back. I want you all to continue to know that we are the educated ones. We are the ones that are in the positions doing the jobs that they don't want to do.
Right?
And then when we get in those spaces, what they do, they call us a DEI hire. They call us every name in the book. They nailed Jesus to the cross. They stoned him, but
Right?
guess what he did? He rose again. And that's what black people are doing. We are doing the same exact thing. We are rising again. We are being resilient.
Right?
Because any stone that you throw at us to try to break us and our spirits, to try to break our souls, is not working. That's
Right?
not what he had in the cards for us. And I say that to say this for each and every one of us: remain hopeful, remain optimistic, that through the darkness, through this dark, evil entity that has occupied the United States of America and weaponized and all of these things that he's doing, it's going to get better.
Oh yes, definitely.
And we're going to come out the winners because we're on the right side of history. Hell,
Right?
we made history in this country as black people. We basically built this country
Hmm.
and our history. history will not be erased. Again, as Jamie Foxx stated, they try to erase, we will replace, and we will continue to keep making history. So do
Right.
not cower in fear. That is one thing Michelle Obama said. Do not cower in fear, because when you cower in fear, the devil has won. You have given him your power.
Right.
Don't cower in fear. Don't feel despair. Fear not. Hold your head up. And I want each and every one of you to do that, fashion dolls. So next week, we have Brian Chancellor Monday joining me on the show, and your girl is going to be on LaTroy Gardner's Stop, Look, and Listen. So that is going to be next week at 3 p.m., May 8th, I believe. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I will be going on LaTroy Gardner's show, and I have a day off, so you'll see me then. And of course, the show will resume. We are on the way to 800 episodes, and I want to say thank you all from the bottom of my heart for making this an amazing season overall. Season 20, we will be back in 2026 again. We're going to continue on this journey, and I'm going to continue to keep speaking truth to power and empowering our people, Black people, all of us, because we need it in these times. There
Definitely.
has to be someone who is hopeful and a bright light in these dark
Oh yes.
times, and I'm going to continue to keep doing that. So thank you all so much. And Terry, thank you. Let everyone know where they can follow you. Again, the book is called I Choose Me on all platforms where you can purchase them.
Definitely. You can find me on all social medias. Author Terry L. Ware Sr. or Author Terry Ware Sr. on all platforms.
All right. Fashion dolls. And also the look of the week that will be posted at the end of this interview. So you guys vote. I think it was 5 different looks this week. I'll count them up, tally them up, and then you guys drop the number in the comments and let me know which was your favorite look, and I'll have that posted. And this interview will be uploaded to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube. Thank you all so much. And again, I Choose Me by Terry L. Ware. Make sure you guys go and support this brother and support Black authors and filmmakers and directors and producers. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.